Alright, what's up guys? Fuffin here, and for this, the second episode of my Unranked to Diamond series, I'm going to be talking about how I got from the ranks of, like silver to gold. In general, it was kind of the same things as the last video that I talked about, but a little bit more, consistent, I guess. And this is actually something that I'll talk about in the next video as well. But basically, my problem that I had with going from, the ranks of silver to gold was that I was, while still trying to play, as good as I could, I was definitely still taking a lot of chances with things that I normally wouldn't. But in addition to that, I was also kind of playing things a little bit differently. So basically, I'll just kind of stretch it out a little bit here. I played a couple comps that I don't normally play, but that were kind of given to me, such as I believe I got a sharpshooter game where I got a level 3 Jin with all tank items, best case scenario, and I also played Warlord Reroll. It was the game that got me into Gold 4, and I mean, it was pretty simple Warlord game, right? It was just basically getting the Nidalee to level 3, and then I think I got a level 3 Vi and a level 3 Katarina. So, very easy. It was a 100 HP game, and, that was pretty much it. So, the only advice I have for going from, the ranks of silver to gold is that, I think you just need to tighten up a little bit more on your play, because in these reroll games and all that, I did not actually do a lot of like changing positioning and all that. But I think that when you get to silver, people will start to actually identify what teams that like they should be building. And something that I touched up on the last one is that players now are going to be almost exclusively building strong teams. And maybe not strong teams is the best way to do it, but they're going to be copying what is working. And even if someone is just copying a meta build or whatever, that can still land you merit, even if the players don't actually know why the build is good. For example, in my last video, I talked about chase traits and how you can go for 9 cultist. If you have managed to get off 9 cultist, maybe you don't know why it's strong, but it's winning. And that's something that not a lot of players, even at higher elo, entirely understand why. But regardless, getting to that point is just the hardest thing that I see. And when you get to silver, people just are a little bit better at using their economy, right? That's just something that will happen as the game progresses or whatever. So yeah, and I think the other thing is, like, once you get to silver, in addition to actually getting these teams completed, try and just wiggle around a little bit when it comes to your chosen. And what I mean by that is, like, if you're building a team and you have some room to kind of switch something out if it's for your benefit, do it. So my examples here are the Enlightened Talon build being one of the most versatile builds out there. Everybody kind of knows this already, but if you don't, here, I'm going to enlighten you on it. Basically, the Enlightened Talon build is just 7 units. It is Janna, Pyke, Irelia, Morgana, Lux, Talon, and Shen. Then most people will add in Yone as the 8th unit or whatever, but in the specific game that I had played, where this becomes relevant, I got to level 9, put in Yone, and I got a chosen, I believe it was either a Shen, a Janna, or a Zilean. And it was a Mystic. And the only guy who was able to beat me had a huge magic damage team. It was someone playing Ahri in 9 Elderwood. And yeah, so basically that was a pretty hard matchup right there. Because if you know anything about 9 Elderwood comps in general, they're very hard to get rid of, and Ahri with a jeweled gauntlet in Elderwood is an absolute nightmare to deal with. However, because I was able to switch into, the Mystic Chosen at the end of the game, it was really, really good for me to actually counter this team. And again, this is something that you may not have to worry about right now, but I want to put it in your heads if you're following along with these as they are coming out. So, like I said, if you're silver, and even if you're gold or higher or whatever, look at the damage that the enemy team is putting out and actually try and see if you can counter it. Now, in the early game, this is a lot harder because right now it's really good to just take whatever first chosen you get and survive until like level 7. But at the end of the game, this definitely separated me from getting like a second place to a first place. And that may not mean a lot at these lower elos, especially as I'm doing these. I'm starting to see the amount of LP that you're gaining. You gain like 80 LP for some of these games, and that's nuts to me because in higher elo, you're gaining like 40, 50. And, you know, you have much, much more leeway for it. But, I mean, if you are really wanting to climb as fast as possible, and if you really, really, really want to actually get, like, higher MMR and everything, which is something I haven't talked about a lot, but if you want to turn your seconds to firsts, one of the big things are just the flexibility in your team. Now, I talked about it a little bit in my positionings and scouting guides, but positioning and scouting are also huge for closing out games because, for instance, if you have Zephyrs or certain units like that, it's really easy to get lost at the end of the game. And it's really easy to choke because a lot of it's just split-second decisions and kind of predicting what your opponent would do in a situation. But in general, I think that if you can slowly incorporate these skills, some players just don't know how to cope with it or how to deal with it. Like, for example, the guy who was playing the Ahri at the end of the game, I am fully confident that he actually could have beat me if he were to switch out the Ahri for something else. And maybe it was that they didn't have enough gold for something else, or maybe they didn't find anything particularly better. But, you know, their items that they had on their Ashe that game was a Bramble Vest, a Rapid Fire Cannon, and a Zeke's. So, what I think would have been better is maybe putting that Jeweled Gauntlet on their set, and maybe moving that Elderwood Spatula to something like a Yone would have even been better. You know, there's a ton of things that probably could have been switched in that game, but at that point, I mean, I did what I could because I saw all of their damage was primarily magic damage, and so I decided to switch into Mystic. So be sure to tune in tomorrow when I go over going from gold to plat, and then, you know, I'll see you guys then. So I appreciate you guys for watching, and have a good one.